Playa del Carmen. On the surface, this is a world of sun, sand, and sea. The Caribbean coast, where water seems to be the center of life, bright, warm, open. From morning on, you hear the sound of waves, boat engines, music drifting from cafes along the shore. Tourists come here for the ocean, and they believe that the water is here right in front of them. But on the Yucatan Peninsula, everything is arranged differently. Beyond the coastline stand the ruins of ancient cities. The Maya knew this land far more deeply than it may seem today. They understood rainfall cycles, the galactic calendar, the movement of stars, and most importantly, the water hidden beneath the ground. Some of their temples, such as those in Chichen Itza, stand precisely above underground water channels. For the Maya, cenotes were not merely sources of fresh water. They were portals, temples leading downward. Today we see ruins, pyramid steps, stone galleries, columns of old palace complexes. But the real hydrological system on which their lives depended is still beneath us. Alive, active, pulsing. The Yucatan is built of limestone, a rock easily dissolved by weakly acidic rainwater. Over millions of years, this created a vast network of underground freshwater rivers. This network is not a metaphor. It is a physical reality. Hundreds of kilometers of mapped passages and far more that remain unexplored. We are used to looking at water here from above, on Playa's beaches, in the turquoise reflections of the Caribbean Sea. But the true water of Yucatan lies underground. Now we enter these spaces. We descend beneath the surface, from light into darkness, from the resort image into primordial geology, where there is no horizon, where familiar reference points disappear, where over millions of years, water carved halls and corridors in stone longer than seems possible. This is where another Yucatan begins. Underground Mexico, the cenotes of Yucatan and their dark secret. To understand why water in Yucatan flows inside stone, we need to step back tens of millions of years. At the end of the Cretaceous period, around 66 million years ago, a giant asteroid struck near the present-day coast of the Gulf of Mexico. Its diameter was about 10 kilometers. The energy of the impact exceeded 1 trillion megatons of TNT. The crater is now known as Chicxulub. It changed the Earth. It triggered global fires, prolonged atmospheric darkness, and the extinction of the dinosaurs. But for Yucatan, there were additional consequences. The impact created ring-shaped fractures, shattered the glass-fragile upper limestone crust, and made it far more vulnerable to dissolution. Later, as the surface stabilized, millions of years of weekly acidic rainfall began to work on this material. Limestone is calcium carbonate, CaCO3, one of the most common rocks on the planet. It dissolves easily in water containing carbonic acid. For example, ordinary tropical rain may have a pH of about 5.5. That is enough to slowly erode stone, drop by drop, millimeter by millimeter, over millions of years. Water seeped downward, streams connected, cracks widened, voids formed larger, deeper, more complex. This is called the karst process. And in Yucatan, it reached a scale that science can still only approximate, because these are not isolated caves. They are an entire underground freshwater system with water occupying depths roughly from 3 to 30 meters below the surface. And this water is remarkably pure. Because the limestone acts as a natural filter, it traps mechanical particles, settles organic matter, and leaves the water nearly distilled at the end of its path. That is why cenotes are not just caves with water. They are the water supply arteries of an entire region. They sustain forests, cities, agriculture, tourism. And they preserve geological memory from a time when dinosaurs still walked the earth. Today, science studies this system much like space agencies study subsurface oceans on Europa, Jupiter's moon. Because in both cases, water is hidden within rock, and where there is water, there may also be life. When the mask settles on the face and the regulator delivers the first breath, everything that existed on the surface disappears. The world becomes minimalist. There is only air in your mouth, a steel tank on your back, and dark water ahead. The first movement is vertical. We descend through the cenote shaft. Here, the water is usually clear and fresh. And in the first 10, 15 meters, everything appears almost perfectly transparent. But the real transformation begins when we move into the horizontal tunnel. The diver's light becomes the only source of geometry. There is no daylight in a cenote, no scattering of blue spectrum as in the ocean. Dark zones are absolutely black. And whatever falls into the beam becomes form. as if we are drawing space with light. Sometimes the water is so clear that even a few meters away, it feels as though there is no water at all. You see a stone wall, but your eyes struggle to determine where it begins. This condition is known as crystal visibility. But any fin movement, any contact with the bottom, can lift a fine layer of calcite dust. And then the transparency vanishes. The cloud can linger for tens of minutes. That is why every gesture here is strategic. Divers follow strict rules. You cannot lose orientation. A guideline laid by explorers is the lifeline, the path line. Lose it and returning becomes impossible. This is not poetry, this is physics. Because a cenote is not a single cave. It is a labyrinth, with multiple branches, with turns where the light does not immediately reveal depth, with corridors that vanish into shadow and conceal their scale. Time feels different here. There is no current, no sound of flowing water. The sound of exhaled air is the only motion, and every breath reminds you that here, humans are guests. There is a moment during a cenote dive that is difficult to explain to someone who has never been there. In the ocean or a lake, there is always a sense of volume. You feel the direction of light, you know where up and down are. Here, that disappears. In a cenote, even with perfect visibility, it can be impossible to intuitively tell where the water's surface is, unless you see your own air bubbles. Because the ceiling is often as stone-like as the floor. It mirrors the same relief. Karst waves, protrusions, calcite flows frozen in time. The helmet-mounted light reveals the rock's texture, and it becomes clear. This is not just a cave. It is a sculpture created by chemical processes over millions of years. Carbonate icicles, stalactites, stretch downward. Some are as thick as an arm, others thin as needles. All of them formed when this space was once filled with air, which means these caves were dry long before they became flooded. Then the water level rose, and the entire volume was submerged. We are literally moving through a geological archive of water levels. In some places, another phenomenon appears. Layers of different water, fresh and brackish, do not mix immediately, forming a halocline, a shimmering boundary between layers. When a diver passes through it, the image in the mask briefly distorts, as if reality ripples. This is not an optical illusion. It is the physics of water density. All of this operates at once. Without light, nothing is visible. With light, you see only what you illuminate yourself. A human in a cenote is a point of perception, a small source of light surrounded by absolute darkness. And the physics of this place makes one thing clear. Underground, there are no random decisions. Every turn, every camera movement is a choice. Every small mistake can turn visibility into an opaque white fog. This produces a special mental state. Divers call it a state of focus. When the mind stops thinking about anything else, everything narrows to 3 parameters: light, air, direction. And in that moment, you realize water here is not just a substance, it is the architect. In the history of cenote exploration, there were moments that permanently changed diving rules. Not because of mysticism, because of physics. In the early 1990 seconds, when the first cave diving groups began actively exploring these systems, many approached them as an extension of conventional diving. Water is water. Cenotes quickly proved otherwise. There were cases where experienced divers lost the guideline. One careless fin movement can lift calcite powder as fine as flour. Within seconds, visibility drops from tens of meters to 0. This is not a metaphor. 0 means you may not see your own hand in front of your mask. After several fatal incidents where divers failed to find their way back, modern standards were established. Always maintain contact with the line. Always carry at least 3 independent light sources. Always reserve enough air for the full return. These rules were not created for bureaucracy. They were derived from experience at the cost of mistakes. Those stories are not for dramatization. They are for understanding the scale of the environment. On camera, a dive looks beautiful. Clear water, stone columns, visual silence. But the reality is far stricter. A cenote is not a submerged attraction. It is a geological system not adapted for humans. Humans must adapt to it. And this is where the true depth of these dives lies. Not in seeking adventure, but in studying an environment where the smallest error can cost the path back. At first glance, it may seem that life in absolute darkness is impossible. Science says otherwise. Cenotes are ecosystems inhabited by unique life forms, adapted to the complete absence of light. The base of the food chain here is not photosynthesis, but chemosynthesis. These are microorganisms that obtain energy not from sunlight, but from chemical reactions such as the oxidation of hydrogen sulfide or iron. On cave walls and at water layer boundaries, thin biofilms can be seen microbial matrices that convert minerals into energy. They create the foundation for other life forms. Some areas feature haloclines boundaries between fresh and brackish water. It is precisely at these transition layers that scientists find the most intriguing microbial communities. These bacteria are extremophiles. They survive in conditions lethal to most organisms. That is why cenotes are studied as models for biogeochemical systems analogous to subsurface oceans on other worlds, such as Europa. The logic is the same. Water plus minerals plus energy equals the basis for life, even without sunlight. In the cenotes of Yucatan, for example, scientists have found Remipedia blind crustaceans that exist only in such underground waters. They are relict organisms, evolutionarily isolated from surface ecosystems, as if frozen in deep time. That is the scientific layer, but there is also history. For the Maya civilization, these wells were not only sources of fresh water, they were portals to unseen forces. In some cenotes, archaeologists discovered human remains, gold objects, precious stones. These are artifacts of ritual offerings. The Maya did not simply take water, they returned valuables back into the depths. Ironically, today we also lower offerings into cenotes, but scientific ones. Cameras, sensors, robots, chemical analyzers. All to better understand the life hidden in the darkness beneath our feet. When we return to the surface, the world becomes simple again. We see the ocean, the city, trees, people. We hear wind and traffic. But our understanding has changed. Now we know. Everything on the surface stands upon vast underground water. Yucatan is not a peninsula surrounded by seas. It is a peninsula permeated by water from within. Beneath our feet, just meters down, a freshwater river system of regional scale flows. It connects cities, jungles, ancient ruins, and modern resorts, like the circulatory system of a living organism. The beaches of Playa del Carmen are merely the skin. The cenotes are the vessels. Water here is not just a medium. It is a keeper of memory. It witnessed the asteroid impact, geological epochs, the rise and fall of civilizations. It continues to flow in darkness, whether we observe it or not. A human in a cenote is a brief flash of light, momentarily illuminating a fragment of a world that existed without us and will continue to exist after us. The water of Yucatan is memory made fluid, and we are only observers.